Hello, everybody. It's Graham Coath with another MyMusic. I've been waiting, really excited for this one, because this is a fantastic album we're going to be talking about today from a fantastic artist, Amelia Coburn. Nice to meet you.
Hello, thanks for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. But before we get chatting about music, let's have this from Analog Trash. Do enjoy it, and go and visit them afterwards. Oh, it's lively, that, isn't it? But it gets you in the right mood for this time of the afternoon. That's the thing. You have released what I am saying is one of the most important albums in the last 5 years. And I don't say that lightly, because I listen to a shed load of music, right? And I honestly believe it is.
Wow.
I honestly believe it really is. And folks, if you don't believe me, go and check it out afterwards. It's got a fantastic title, Between the Moon and the Milkman, which is nice because there's a nice bit of alliteration in there. But where did that title come from?
I think a lot of the times when I'm writing, I'm trying to find like idioms and metaphors. And I was writing the song Seesaw, and I just came across, I thought it was quite a well-known phrase. I just typed in moon phrases, and I came across Between the Moon and the Milkman, and I was like, I really like that because it can evoke a lot of different things in terms of, it can mean like physically between that time, but also like that space at nighttime for me is I find it really interesting because a lot of the songs were written at night. So yeah, even though some of the songs weren't about night as such, but they were written during that time when things are quieter, things are more mysterious. I feel a lot more inspired. I find that conversations become more honest and open. So I found like that phrase generally encapsulated a lot of the songs. And yeah, it's great because it's not a very common phrase. When you Google Between the Moon and the Milkman, what tends to come up first is my album, which is good.
Well, yeah, no, absolutely, and that's always useful. It's kind of a USP out there, isn't it? It's a bit of a nastiness, which is that when you look at your album on different platforms, it comes up as indie folk, which is not really the true sum of where you are. Do you get a bit peeved with that people like kind of have to pigeonhole you somewhere, or it's just one of those things?
I mean, sometimes it's good to be pigeonholed because you can get, like, for example, radio on Spotify, when you get put on a folk playlist or something, or folk radio, that's brilliant. But I think you don't want to be, like you say, pigeonholed in terms of that's all you do. And I think people look at me, I'm a young woman and I play a ukulele, and they just think instantly, oh, it's going to be easy listening folk. And yeah, a few songs are like smooth jazz, I suppose, but it's not all that. There's some songs that make you really like, they stand out in terms of the dissonance and the melodies. I don't think it's like pure folk. I'd say there's a lot of influences in there, and the sound, I don't know what I like to think that I've got my own genre going on. I mean, that might sound a bit like up myself to say, but
I invented music. I did, yeah. Come on.
Pardon?
I invented music.
Exactly. Yeah. No one else has done this before. No, but I'd like to think that it can't be compared to too many things, like in terms of genre, because each song, in my opinion, sounds completely different on the album.
Yeah, I mean, I've read quite a bit about you, and I understand where some of your influences are that musically, and you can hear some of that, but actually, I'm going to say that one of the first people that sprung to mind when I listened to the album isn't someone that is on your influence list, and that was Kirsty MacColl.
Yeah, funnily enough, I've actually there's a local band, the Wildcats of Kilkenny, and they do a lot of like Pogue stuff, and I've often stood in for Kirsty MacColl when they do like those songs as their special guest. But yeah, and I've listened to a bit of her solo stuff, and I love it. So it's probably like a a subconscious influence, if that makes sense. It wasn't an obvious one when I was writing the album, but her voice is great, and I probably looked up to her more than I realised over the years.
I thought it was more from a sort of attitude, really, than necessarily stealing from her musically. Whereas, I can understand like Joni Mitchell and all of those sort of influences, etc. And Neil Hannon was an interesting one. The fact that you like Neil Hannon.
I love Neil Hannon.
Yeah. Have you been to see him live? You must have seen him live. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I just love the way. I love the way he works an audience.
He's brilliant.
Kind of acts out these characters.
If I could work with one songwriter, it would be Neil Hannon. I think he's great, and that's what I would love to be like him in terms of when you listen to his album. Every song sounds different, even though they all existed in the same world. And he's written the soundtrack for Wonka. I'd love to one day write songs for a musical or a film. I think he's brilliant. He's so creative and inventive, his lyrics and melodies, and like you say, great entertainer.
You mentioned dissonance. I'm going to talk about Nodding Dog, right? Because that's one of my favourites. Third called in. What is that called? Because I've been back in my brain to try and work it out.
It's funny because I actually teach ukulele to a fella, and he wants to learn Nodding Dog, and he was like, "Can you write the chords down?" And I said, "I can write the strumming pattern, and I can write the chord shape, but I wouldn't be able to name the chord because I don't work with chords."
You play by ear.
Yeah, I play by ear. I mean, I know the basic chords. I know what A is, I know what C is, but I play on how it sounds, and I just mess around with different shapes on the and I detune the ukulele, and I make random shapes and see what sounds nice. So with that, I think it's some form of A, but don't actually.
That's where I was kind of going.
Sorry, not A.
E.
Yeah, I'm thinking because I'm playing the baritone, so it's a different chord. It'll be E.
Yeah, I was kind of going. That's where it was. That's interesting. That's how you play. So is that how you write as well? Because that's how I play guitar. I'm sure there's other people out there that have done that, and it's really annoying for a lot of people because they go, "So what's the next chord?" And I go, "I have no idea." So you basically have learned sort of like that's G, that's D, that's C, whatever. But then you kind of mess around with your fingers and just go, "Oh, I like that progression," or "I like if I move my hand from there to there, it sounds good still." So is that how it works for you?
Yeah. I'm not trained at all musically. I can't read music or tabs or anything like that. So it is just, I think that, and that's what the beauty of the songs don't go where you expect them to go a lot of the time, because I don't know anything about key, or so like my manager Andy will listen to a song and be like, that chord shouldn't be there, that melody shouldn't go there, but it does, and it sounds great. And when you try and teach people the songs, it's a nightmare because like Nodding Dog, I had the band in my December gig and I was trying to teach them a bit where it goes, pleading down on my knees, and I don't know why no one could get that bit that it went up, and I don't know musically, I don't know what you'd call it, but
they expect it to go up a bit more.
I think maybe. So, yeah, and it's sort of the way it finished. They were like, that it doesn't end. It doesn't. It was just a weird structure for them to grasp, which was, and I didn't realize. I think that's a nice thing to be able to write confusing hooks or melodies without knowing. It's not a deliberate thing. So it's quite nice.
Yeah. No, we've discussed it so many times on this program. There are a lot of people out there who are very accomplished musicians, but actually, as soon as you try and get them to write with any kind of real feeling, or as and do things like natural dissonance and just make it work, they really struggle because they're like, well, you can't do that. Mm-hmm. You go, well, what do you mean you can't do it? I've just done it. I've just put my hands there and I've made this sound, and it works. It's nice to me. But it's those lovely little surprises and nuances all the way through this album that really make it such an interesting listen.
Thank you.
Lyrics as well. I get quite, I'm getting older, and I struggle with remembering lyrics like you do when you're listening to music all the time when I was like 16, 17, 18. And I don't know whether that's partly because these days we hear so much music and it kind of just transcends us. This is a great album for actually you start to pick the lyrics up quite quickly. What is it about your music that allows people to do that? I mean, is it just, do you work really hard on the lyrics in terms of making it quite catchy at the same time, or quite easy to flow?
I think for me, melody is king. So I never think too much about the lyrics. It's nice if people enjoy them. Like for me, I'd rather the melody be great and the lyrics can mean anything. Perfect Storm has no meaning. It's just stream of consciousness. But I suppose if they're memorable, one thing I would say was when I was about 9 or 10, I had these sort of singing lessons for a few months, but they weren't like official singing lessons. It was just a fairly old bloke who liked doing choirs, and it was a community thing. And I don't think he'll be listening, so I can say this. He wasn't the greatest singing teacher, but what he was great at was my diction. I think he loved like speech and drama and things, and he was always making me do these exercises to really pronounce my words. And yeah. So I think I've always been quite like, for me, it's important to. Oh, so there's a train going past. I don't know if you can hear it. I think it's also important to. Yeah. That's probably quite good. It's important for me to enunciate those and make people. There's nothing worse than hearing a song and you like want to hear what it's about and you can't understand anything. So I think that was my thing, is making sure that comes across.
Well, I mean, the other thing is you've got that kind of northern accent, and you've got those words that you sing in that particular way, which kind of, I suppose that is from a folk background and a folk heritage. The way you sing, like I would sing "come" and you wouldn't sing. You'd say "cum."
Yeah,
yeah. It kind of really kind of holds it to the tradition side of things as well, and that's probably what makes it quite a nice melting pot as well. That sometimes your voice is incredibly pop in a way. And then other times it is quite folk, and it's like, oh my goodness, it's almost you can start one line pop and end up folk in one line, which is really, really interesting.
And then I was sort of brought up singing musical theatre, so a lot of it's quite theatrical, so it does depends on the song. Yeah. But I think I've always thought I speak in I say strong Teesside accent. People who aren't from Teesside, this is a strong accent, but when you actually hear proper Middlesbrough, this is posh, this is not Teesside. But I always wanted to sing in the accent that I spoke in, and you don't often hear Teesside accents in popular culture, bar a few celebrities. So I feel like it's quite a nice way to highlight my heritage, and I didn't want to ever sing in an American accent. It just felt weird.
Yeah. How long did this body of work take you to write?
Oh gosh, about a good part of 8 years or so. It's just over the last few years. I wasn't writing for an album though. I just started writing when I was like 19, 20. And it like the collection made sense to make into an album. I just chose all my favorite, all my best songs. Most of them are written, pre-COVID. Then about 3 or 4 were like after that. So they're kind of a mixture of the last decade almost. Yeah.
Have you already moved on from here quite a way now in terms of writing, or are you literally just enjoying the ride for the minute and see where this goes and then start again?
I think a bit of both. Like last summer, I was really fortunate to have been selected for it was at the time called Sage Gateshead, but now the Glasshouse Summer Studios. And I used that week to write more material because I'm notoriously quite a slow writer. I like to think of it more as perfectionism. So I don't write much, but when I do write something, it's good. So I need to maybe stop doing that and just write loads, and then I can separate what's good from what's not, because who am I to say what's good? But I'm quite a slow writer, so I use that time to write more. And I've probably got half an album worth, an EP I could release. I'm just going to see how it goes and try and spend the next few months writing. But like you say, it's hard because you just want to like revel in the album that you've got out. But I have been singing some of these songs for so long, like Dublin Serenade, Perfect Storm, so I'm kind of ready to move on.
The Sage in Gateshead. Is Wendy Smith still involved in that?
She may be. I'm not sure. It's such a big team, so I only met her about 4.
I think she's still involved in that, famously from Prefab Sprout.
Oh, right.
Yeah, which are another great northern songwriter. I mean, actually, I mean, if you could follow in the traditions of Paddy McLoone, I mean, that would be no bad thing whatsoever. Someone that can really tell a story, and he did quite a lot of TV themes as well. Would you like to do TV themes?
Yeah, someone said actually, like Nodding Dog or Seesaw could be the intro to a gothic thriller series or something. I don't know if it'd be interesting to write specifically for a TV show, where you get commissioned and you've got to get certain bits in. I have done that before, and it's a very interesting exercise. It's a good way to songwrite in a way because you've got specific like limitations. But yeah, it'd be interesting one to do.
No, definitely. Now you had a great producer on this album as well.
Yeah.
Can we talk about him a minute? Because yeah, how did you meet him?
I met Bill Ryder Jones. Well, met just by emailing and asking, can I record at your studios? So sort of on the lookout for producers and just trying to find the right one, because I knew this debut album, I wanted it to be like everything proper. I'd waited so long to do it. I didn't want to take any liberties. I was like, I want to get the right producer, the right sound. So we'll just look at different people. And there's loads of great people suggested, but maybe a bit too folky or a bit too pop. And then like Andy, my manager, was like, "Oh, what about Bill Ryder Jones? Like his solo stuff is great, and the people he's worked with, like say Saviour, Michael Head, like brilliant albums." So I thought, a bit of a long shot. I don't know if he's ever worked with someone like me, but we'll ask. And really interested in
well, it's got that heritage thing. I mean, because Corel, it's kind of drew from a back catalogue, if you like, of great music, didn't he? And then his solo stuff, there's more in there that's kind of like soundscape and like, soundtrack type thing as well. I mean, so really kind of lended itself to someone that had a really broad ear, but would actually, pull out the right sonics for this. And it's beautifully clear.
His influences you can really hear. And we share similar inspirations. Like when I got there and I met him for a pint before I started in the studios. And
important stuff.
Have you got a playlist of like influences? And I think I had like Nick Drake and Scott Walker, and he was like, yeah, these are great. Like this is like my kind of music. So that was really nice that I didn't have to like explain who someone was. He just was like, oh yeah, I know that, a great album, we'll put that on there. And he was great to work with and so creative. Like I've never met anyone like him. Just his brain. I want his brain.
Oh, that's brilliant. Are you surprised by the success of this now that you've got it out there? Are you surprised by the kind of reaction?
Yeah, I am actually. Like, maybe not surprised. Like, that's what I was hoping for. Obviously, like you always do when you're releasing something. But I am like, overwhelmed by. I didn't realize how many people were gonna pre-order it and order it, which is amazing to see. Like every time I go on social media, someone said, "I just had a listen. I've just bought it." I'm like, "Oh wow, that's so nice," because you've worked so hard on something, and that's all you can hope for is for people to enjoy it and for new people to find it. Because I've had like a loyal fan base who have been brilliant over the last 5 years. They bought everything and listened to everything I've released, but you want to find other people who listen to it as well. And I think that's happened. I've had loads of new messages from people who've just discovered me via the algorithm or via radio. So that's always nice.
The family is expanding.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Any famous people in there? Has anyone, any celebrities picked it up and gone, oh, wow, what an album?
Paul Heaton replied randomly.
Oh, really?
He just randomly put that really nice album, and I was like, "What? Where's that?" Because we didn't like even ask him to listen to it. He just randomly tweeted me, so that was cool. I love Paul Heaton.
Oh my goodness! Well, there you go. There's a potential support slot sorted out for next summer. Right? Yeah. Will you be playing any festivals or whatever later this year? Will we be able to?
Not loads, actually. I am doing a few, but I haven't announced them yet, so I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say. But I've got a few under my belt. But I'd kind of hadn't really applied for any festivals because I've just started working with an agent. It was a bit after like all the festivals started getting the lineup. So I'm hoping like the year after, because I'm going on tour with a band. So I think this year is going to be like sorting that out and seeing how that goes, and then getting more in the swing of it next summer. But yeah, I have got a few. Just haven't announced them yet.
Have you got the band ready, or is this something that you now need to do as part of this? Is get that band together? Yeah,
bit of both. I've got like a few ideas and stuff. It's just getting rehearsing and all of that. So yeah. I've played with a band before, but I won't be touring with them because they've all got full-time jobs. So
will you be your own musical director, or do you want someone to say, "Oh, actually, this group of people would be useful to you"?
I'd probably get any, really. I think obviously I'll know when I hear people play.
Any. Yeah. Listen, folks, if you're watching, if you don't want to do anything next year other than tour,
I know it's not loads of money involved, so you got to do it for love. Yeah, that's the thing with touring. It's very hard to like find people who you want to pay them, but you can't pay them tons because even I won't be getting paid unless like even if I sold out the venues. That's just the harsh realities of being a musician: petrol, accommodation, van hire. Like it's not easy. So it's finding people who want to do it for like not obviously, not just for the love of it, but people who will do a festival and think, right, we're not going to get brilliantly paid, but we'll do it. And that's half the battle, really.
Well, you actually, one of the things you see quite a lot these days is that potentially people being in more than one band or whatever, and actually that kind of commercially makes sense. I've been to see a fair number of bands over the last year or so where, you know, members of that band also kind of like will then do the support slot with someone else or whatever, and it just kind of makes commercial sense to do that.
I wouldn't gatekeep like my specific band, because at the end of the day the performance will be mainly it's about my voice and that's, I don't want it to like be overblown with orchestration, but I'd like the band members to have a good knowledge of like jazz and folk, and those sensibilities of like the strange chords that we're on about and the structures, right, because they aren't just like 3-chord pop songs, they are a bit more complex, so people who have a bit of just an understanding or an enjoyment of that kind of genre of music, and I think that definitely go a long way.
Well, I think you're always looking for someone in the band as well that can add to what is already there.
Yeah, exactly that. Not just like recreate what's on the record, but add little riffs and make it even better live. So you're right there. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I used to.
No, not asking too much at all. I was saying just the other day when I took my one of my sons to a guitar shop to buy his first guitar, that I distinctly remember going to a guitar shop, when I was in a band a long time ago, with a guy that could play amazing jazz guitar. And it was brilliant because normally you go into guitar shops and the person picks up the guitar and they're in the shop and they kind of show off, don't they? And they go, and you're like, oh my goodness. And they used to hand the guitar back to Chris, and Chris would then play jazz brilliantly. And then he would hand it back to them and go on then. It's brilliant. So if you ever go to a music shop, that is the answer, right? Get someone on guitar that can play really great jazz guitar. It just really dumbs down anybody in the sales situation in the shop. What? Forget all of this heavy metal stuff, widdly widdly, whatever. You try and play that jazz. Doesn't work. So listen, what's still left you must have lots of ambitions still left, but who would you really love to play with? Who would you really love to write with?
Like I said, Neil Hannon, would love to write or play with him. Who else is there? I'm trying to think. Most of the artists I listen to are either dead or not touring. But I really like Rufus Wainwright again. I'm trying to think of like Lisa Hannigan. She's sort of a folk.
Yeah.
Hannigan. I think that'd be a really cool collaboration to do, because I've had like people say we're fairly similar in terms of writing and songs. So I've never actually seen her live, but I'd love to do maybe one day do a collab with her. But I'm trying to think of. So I also get put on the spot with these questions because, like I say, I'm thinking of people I listen to, and I'm like, half of them are from like the 60s. I'd love to perform at Glastonbury as well. That's a big dream.
Do it, because it's only just down the road. Then I can just pop down the road and see you. See?
Not down the road from me though. Bit of a trek.
It's a bit of a trek for you, but for anyone living in the West Country, it's our one saving grace. You see, I mean, we don't actually have that many gig venues down this way, but what we do have is one of the greatest festivals in the world, and that's always good. You see, so that's kind of our Pierre de Resistance, as it were. We look forward to that. In terms of this album, do you just say to people why should people go out and listen to this album? Why should people give this album a listen over perhaps something else at the moment?
Ooh, a little an elevator pitch. I think like we spoke about, I think it's different, and it's got a big variety of genre and inspiration on it, so I don't think you can get bored from the album. And if you like stories and sort of spooky tales, then give it a listen. For fans of sort of like short stories and gothic horror and traveling.
It almost feels like it ought to have a sort of kids illustrated book to go with it.
I would love that. When I was doing the album, I was thinking of having like because the album's Between the Moon and the Milkman, and I've got the constellations on the front of the LP with like the shiny. I'd love to do like a guide to the stars book, and stargazing with the constellations and the story behind each constellation or each song. I'd love to do that eventually and get it all hand drawn.
Well, there you go. So again, if there's anyone creative out there that's an illustrator and whatever, and you'd like to get in touch with Amelia and put that together as a project, that would be great. That could be the deluxe version of the album that you release in a year's time, just to give it another push. I genuinely do believe this is an absolutely fantastic album, and just so grateful to have you come and talk to us today for a little bit. So thank you for making it, and thank you for coming to talk with us today. It's been a pleasure, folks. If you haven't already checked out the album, please do go and find it now. It's available not only to stream, but to buy as well, which is a great thing, because if you actually buy it and spend some money, then Amelia can go and do lots of other stuff.
And if you for the charts, so maybe we might get picked up in the folk charts. Who knows?
No, absolutely. So don't just stream it, because that's pennies. But Between the Moon and the Milkman, go and buy it now. I promise you will not be disappointed. And if you like it, let Amelia know. She'd like to know that you like it as well, not just listen to it and walk on by, which is another great song.
What
with foolish pride.
I love that song. I could go on for hours talking about
that. What a great melody that is.
Yeah, and just the way it changes from doom, 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 doom. Yeah, brilliant.
I know, yeah, but that a little staccato bit and into the
yeah.
You see, they don't write them like they used to, apart from you.
Oh,
there you go. See what I did there?
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on today. Thanks for joining me. Really please, everybody, Amelia Coburn, check out the album. Until next time, bye for now.
Bye.